listeners, that was a rough cut. I know it. And it's because I'm by myself in the studio right now, and looking for that magic gain button. There it is. I think I put some gain back in there for you. Maybe hear me a little bit better, hopefully. Anyway, as my reel said on Facebook and Instagram and wherever the hell that goes, I'm ranting and raving tonight. This is Brandon Talks to Himself is the name of the segment. And that's all I'm going to be doing. I'm sitting there thinking, bringing up topics. You get to see a little bit about how my mind works, how my thought processes work, and, just insight into me, if that's interesting to you. Because I'm pretty fucking crazy. I know there's a lot of people that know me from way back when, high school, junior high, whatever, childhood. And you guys probably have some sort of, vision of who I was or who you thought I was or whatever. And, it's probably not correct. Just said, the person who is talking to you right now has been dealing with severe mental illness for 15 years. And it's been tough. With that, I have also experienced loss and a life-changing, spectacularly beautiful dumpster fire that is a divorce. And I don't know. There was who I thought I was 5 years ago. There's who I think I am now. And then there's the truth somewhere in between about what the fuck I need to do or something. I can't, something's poetic right now, but I know they're different people. For sure. A lot of the elements are the same. Like, I'm still, just outgoing, nice person for the most part, right? I give people, I don't know, I was going to say, I do give the person on the side of the road money once in a while. I do small things like that. I'm a good friend, so if you want to ride somewhere, I'll give you a ride. I do the basic shit. Sometimes a little more, sometimes it takes a little more out of me. But anyway, I'm still like that. But there's big differences, especially between a mentally ill and a mentally healthy person. Now, I don't know everything about everything, and I certainly don't know everything about this. And I'm not a doctor, so take it for what it's worth. But I know that the mentally healthier people, or that state of being, is what you want. And you don't want to be mentally ill. I don't think that's what you just a stretch of the imagination. So the problem is that, for the mentally ill, the people that are living with these diseases and these illnesses, everything is harder to do. Everything. Wake up in the morning, get out of bed. That's the first thing people do, right? And a lot of people do it without even thinking about it. It's just, you wake up and your body starts moving you in the direction of the door. Before the lights are even completely off, if you know what I mean. When you're mentally ill, sometimes that's not an option. Sometimes the door seems 10,000 feet away. Sometimes you can't look at the door. And sometimes the door's locked. It doesn't matter what you want to do. The shitty thing about having a mental illness and being someone who is reasonably intelligent and cares about anything is that you have insight, and insight is so fucking hard and horrible, and it's better than not having it, but it's still so strong. I'll tell you what I mean. If you have insight into your illness and you care at all about, anyone or anything, you learn about what professionals say about people like you. You learn about it. You learn about the symptoms, maybe some of the ways of coping. There's oftentimes a discussion of medication. What else? You might have to sit down with your family, whoever that is. If you're a kid, it's your parents. If you're a married adult, it's your spouse and maybe children. But you have to sit them down and you have to, warn them or try to enlighten them, or at least, help them out in some way. Tell them what's going on, what they might see, what to do if it happens, how to help, how not to help. All those things, and it seems like such a burden for those people that love somebody with a mental illness, doesn't it? Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, I gotta learn extra things. I gotta read things. I gotta, for most people, that is something that goes without saying. Like it's sort of a moot point, right? You just do that. It's not the case for everybody, and it's not just me. I'm not necessarily talking about some situation that I've been in recently. I am talking about, I've seen it happen to friends of that have mental illnesses and friends of friends that have mental illnesses, and I've seen people just do that, and it's crazy that, like, it somehow can cause resentment, and more than resentment, it can cause, like, real anger and fighting and stuff, and, because the other person feels like they're being put out or something. That's real unfortunate. I don't see any, paraplegics up here having to defend being fucking paralyzed. Like, is it a burden when a family member gets paralyzed? Probably, yeah. I mean, who would say no? Who would say no to that? Yeah, it is. Now I gotta push TV down the block twice a day. I don't know. Make sure he gets his wheels changed every once in a while, some oil. Just joking. But but no one questions it. Of course. If you had a family member who was paralyzed, you would just help them, and you wouldn't be resentful of it, right? I mean, there are different kinds of people and there are different circumstances. I'm not saying resentment never comes up, but I'm just saying, like, most people under most like normal or reasonable circumstances, they don't manifest resentment in their mind, and they don't expect, like, there's some value proposition here where they're just, oh shit, well, now this isn't worth it. I didn't sign up for twice a day down the block with Johnny in the wheelchair, remember? So we called him the first time. I can't remember. It's a different guy's name now. Anyway, and then there's like those worst times. Like, there's times when your illness, you're symptomatic, right, or something's going on, and that really, in a real way, affects a family member or loved one. Like, yeah, a horrible example, like an obvious but a horrible example is like, you get angry and you fight. Like, you try to fight somebody in your family. Like, oh, I've done that. You guys laughing because I've done that. And it's crazy. I'm not me at the time. Brandon Mallory has never tried to fight his dad, but I have. So it's hard to explain. Sometimes it's not you there. Sometimes it's kind of you there. Sometimes it's sometimes it is you. But even then, it's we gotta be careful. I got off on this tangent, but I was talking about basically like self-analysis and insight. Like, you got to be able to look at yourself and determine how to best communicate with those people around you. Not just, when things are going good, but especially when things are going bad. Like, this is how I feel. Where we were last time when I felt like this. We need to, like, maybe we do this or that. Make a change. I don't care if it's, to your diet or to what you watch at night before bed, but, like, try to make a change because it's not good. But let's come up with a plan as a team. Like, seems like a reasonable idea. So anyway, Johnny doesn't have to apologize about being in a wheelchair, and for the most part, it's understood, like, whatever that Latin expression is, without discussion, right? It's understood. Common sense, almost. But that's not the case, is it, for mental illness? Is it? It's not. Half the time we spend defending ourselves when we're symptomatic. Like, in all those cases where Jimmy can't walk, he's not doing it at all about not being able to walk. But, if for some reason I'm having trouble getting out of bed or, doing shit to go to the grocery store, like, we need to have a talk. Maybe change medication, Well, maybe all those things. I don't know. And I'm not saying don't have a talk with a therapist. I'm not saying it's not time to change your meds. Maybe it is. But what I'm saying is, like, it's a different kind of discussion for a different kind of reason. Like, it's so fucked up. What I mean, I just said that a lot, but, like, what I mean by fucked up and what I'm referring to is that until recently, I was unaware that, having mental health issues myself, or for anyone for anyone really generally, like, that can lead you to a place where people stop caring about you or care about you very differently, And then, oh my God, the other part do you know how differently people treat you once they find out you have a mental illness or several, in my case, once they're told certain things, and then there's all the preconceived notions they have misguided, I'm sure, because you're talking about the same people who barely got a CD in high school, but like, they're misguided conceptions, and then whatever's been like regurgitated to them at the moment or prior, like, I don't know, like, it's just, it's all, and even the best psychiatrists and therapists that I know still, they don't, I don't know, read the DSM-5, like, they still don't know what the fuck is going on. That's what I'm saying. So even the best among you out there, the people that aren't me, that I probably think are all NPCs anyway, but I don't really believe that. But check yourself. You really don't know either. You might know more than the next guy if you studied it, but like, mostly you just know the things it's not, right? That's like the first part of this sort of venture is like, okay, ruling out what it could be. That's how they do diagnosis, right? So you don't necessarily like build up because like, there's this, that equals 3. It's like, well, this rules out 4, so let's keep going. And they try to rule out everything until you get to the one that you can't rule out, and that's the diagnosis. So it's a little different, but anyway, it's just crazy to me. It's just fucking crazy. I didn't know people did that. I did not know. I didn't know. I mean, you hear about these Israelis. I remember, what was his name? John Kerry, anyway, like that southern white governor that ended up leaving his wife when she was dying of cancer. She was on stage 4 deathbed. He just fucking divorces her and leaves. Like, you see that shit and you're like, bro, what? Like, it doesn't even really register because like it's like it didn't happen. It's like there's no way. That's that fucking evil. But no, it turns out there are people like that. Those cases do exist, These people would be like shunned out of society. Like back in the day, we would have shunned them, and they would have either like developed a personality and a conscience and learned how to hunt, or they come back dead. Mostly it's the hunting thing, but they come back dead. Or not at all. So anyway, I got kind of hung up on that part. This was not meant to be about that anyway. The point I was trying to make is that quite the opposite of the person I was describing in the second half of that rant was the average person, and whatever. I think the average person is fine in how they deal with it. They still need to be more educated, but I don't know what to do about changing people's minds about like resentment and anger towards people that have non-visible conditions. Like obviously the guy's missing an arm. Everyone who's missing an arm, there's no conversation needs to be had. So if you have a mental illness, unless it's like very pronounced and evolved, like schizoaffective, years down the line, like you don't see it really until it's too late. And then that's the friend on your timeline that stops, right? The one that always had a smile. The one that everyone knew had like something was going on, right? But no one talked to him. So, and I've heard other ignorant things said about people like myself. One of them is like something like I'm not even going to say the formulation of what I've heard, but basically the idea is that you are in charge of fixing your mental health, of repairing what's wrong, of you're responsible for it. Like, what are you talking about? Okay. That's like saying to a paraplegic that lost both legs, like, it's your responsibility to get down to the doctor. Cool. What can I borrow the car? Nope. You can't drive, silly. You got no feet. You can't walk. I got a skateboard over there. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? It's really ridiculous. there might be some truth in whatever, maybe something correct about the notion that like you are responsible for your mental health. But what does that mean? I think just what that means is that you are responsible, say, for trying to like help yourself and help others by remaining healthy. There's certain things you can do to remain healthy. Like take your medication. Try your best to show up at your appointments. I don't know, shit like that. I'll just leave it there. Sure. We are responsible for that. Mentally ill people are responsible for that. People who are, paralyzed are responsible for going and picking up their diabetes medication. For sure. If they can still move their hands and they got a cart. As long as you have the physical ability to get there, maybe you do have a little responsibility in like taking up meds. But I don't think people run. Maybe this is a human thing. People don't run a lot of concepts together and look at a very big piece of that pie all at one time when they're looking at something like this. They don't consider it. Like, okay, so I have mental illness. What does that mean? That means something is affecting my cognition in such a way that my perceptions, fears, emotions, they can all be firing for no reason, or not for no reason, but for on things that don't line up with reality. There could be too many emotions at one point, whatever, or they could be none. There could be real hallucinations. For example, you can be hallucinating like auditorily or visibly. So there's something off. The thing is, the nature of having a distorted perception of reality in the first place precludes that person or thing or that cognition of being responsible for fixing that, because you cannot fix it from within. You can't. You fucking can't. There are movies out there, there are novels out there, there are short stories out there which tells a tale of like how someone travels back into their own psyche and fixes themselves. That's a metaphor at best. A metaphor for something else, and not that at all. Because there is no magic school bus. You can't shrink yourself and go in your head. You can't. The fucking doctors don't even know where the fucking problems are. Like, where are they coming from? We don't know. How are they caused? We don't know. Do you know anything? No. We know he doesn't like chocolate cakes. Don't know those swipes. Yeah. I used to get treated poorly and talked down to and despised based on the fact that I was hypomanic sometimes. But when I was hypomanic, and of course, being hypomanic always had to entail with necessity that like I'd been using or that I don't know. I'd done something that caused it. All right, we are not going to go much longer at all, but I am going to finish up the track before I let that bell ding. Anyway, I can't remember. We already went 22 minutes in. I could go longer, but I don't really want to. I'm already sick of the subject. I already don't want to talk to you guys about it anymore. That's how fast it goes. But all I know is that I've had a bad experience with some people in their ability to understand what the person's going through with mental illness and understand what seems reasonable as like their responsibilities going forward for treatment and rehab and all that. And then I was just talking about, I just want you guys to be chill with people. Like, if someone you know has mental illness or someone you care about has mental illness, be fucking chill. Like, figure shit out. Be helpful. Don't get in the way. Don't be a part of the problem. Ask them what they need. Oftentimes they're going to tell you they don't need anything, and they don't. Yes, it is twice as hard to get out of bed in the morning if you have a mental illness, and I'm just making that up, but it is harder. Anyway, the point is like it's so much harder, and you'll never know. You'll never know. So, do us a break and put on your big boy pants. Be a helpful human. That's it. That's all I ask of you. And I don't even ask that you be successful. If you know me, you know my philosophy on this. And yes, I use philosophy of messed up, realistic meaning. The philosophy in terms of like, I have a philosophy of, Mountain Dew. Something like that. But anyway, my philosophy of the matter has just been all you can do in this world is your best. Do your best. It goes along with something an old teacher and coach of mine, used to say, but it's the same moral code. Do your best. Here's something, what's right and do what's right. But I don't want you to do that. I want you to do your best. And that's all I can ask for. And if you do your best and you fail, then it's not your fault. There's nothing you can do. So if you have a friend that has a mental illness, don't worry about failing them or her. Do your best. I don't know. There might not be some afterlife that's going to reward you, but remember that I love you, and remember that it doesn't matter what other people say, because that's the most we can ask from you. Ask from you, brother. Just do your best. That's all I ask.